Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. إذا السماء انشقت تصدعت وتشققت. When the sky cracks. وأذنت لربها وحقت. And it hearkens to its Lord. That is, it hears and obeys. Yani, it cracks by its Lord's command to do so. And it does not hold back or refuse. وحقت وحق لها أن تسمع وتطيع بأمر الله. And it should hear and obey the command of its Lord. إذ هي مصنوعة مربوبة لله تعالى, because it is a making of God and a subject of God. Exalted is He. وإذا الأرض مدت, and when the earth is expanded. بسطت وسويت, stretched out and flattened, leveled. Bindikaki jibaliha, by its mountains being demolished. Wa kulli amtin fiha, and every elevation in the earth being leveled. Wa alqat ma fiha wa takhallat, and it dispels whatever is within itself. Wa ramat ma fi jawfiha, it throws out whatever was within it. Min al-kunuzi wal-mauta, whether treasures or dead people. وَتَخَلَّتْ, and it completely empties out. وَخَلَتْ غَايَةَ الْخُلُوِّ, completely, to the utmost extent of emptying out. حَتَّى لَمْ يَبْقَ شَيْءٌ فِي بَاطِنِهَا, until there is nothing remaining inside of it. كأنها تكلفت أقصى جهدها في الخلو, as if it has exaggerated to its utmost extent in dispelling what it has within it. يقال تكرم الكريم إذا بلغ جهده في الكرم. If someone were extensively generous, you could say تكرم وتكلف فوق ما في طبعه. Yani, when someone exaggerates and strains and goes beyond his natural ability, you would say تكلف. So the ayah says وتخلت. Yani, it did its utmost in spitting out whatever was within it. وأذنت لربها وحقت, and it hearkens to its Lord. في إلقاء ما في بطنها وتخليها, in dispelling whatever is within it and emptying out. وحقت وهي حقيقة بأن تنقاد ولا تمتنع, and it is يعني dutiful in obeying and not refraining. So the ayah started with either, when, and that has the meaning of a condition. And the condition needs a consequence. So what happens then? Imam An-Nasafiyy says, وَحُذِفَ جَوَابُ إِذَا, the consequence of the condition of either, the condition either, when, the consequence is not mentioned. So what happens then? Why it's not mentioned? لِيَذْهَبَ الْمُقَدَّرُ كُلَّ مَذْهَبٍ, so that whatever is the consequence of that condition could be anything possible. أو اكتفاء بما علم في مثلها, or sufficing with what is known from similar surahs, other surahs that have done like that. This surah is like those, and so whatever was the consequence of the conditions in those surahs would be the consequence of the condition in this surah. Min suratay takwir wal infitar, in the surahs of at-takwir, إذا الشمس كورت, when the sun is wrapped up, and Suratul Infitar, إذا السماء انفطرت, when the sky cracks. Then what? Review those surahs and then you'll see. أو جوابه ما دل عليه فملاقيه, or the consequence of the condition is indicated by something that's coming. When Allah says فملاقيه, he shall encounter it. A, إذا السماء انشقت لاقى الإنسان كدحه. According to that, the meaning would be, when the sky cracks, then the human being shall encounter his toil, shall encounter his toiling. Yani, shall encounter the consequences of his toiling. That's good or bad. Ya ayyuhal insan, oh human. And this is an address to the species. Khitabun lil jins. Innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadihan famulaqih. Indeed, you are toiling until meeting the judgment of your Lord. Toiling a toil. Jahidun ila liqa'i rabbik, putting forth effort until you meet, yani literally the statement is, until you meet your Lord, until you meet your maker, wa huwa al-maut, which is death, until death. Wa ma ba'dahu, and whatever comes after death. Yani whatever you're going to encounter in the grave, and then what you're going to encounter on resurrection day. You are now working towards that. Whatever you do now is what you're setting yourself up for. وَمَا بَعْدَهُ مِنَ الْحَالِ الْمُمَثَّلَةِ بِاللِّقَاءِ. That means approximately what I just said. فَمُلَاقِيهِ, and so you shall encounter it. It. مُلَاقِيهِ, you shall encounter it. الضَّمِيرُ لِلْكَدِحِ, pronoun refers to the toiling. وَهُوَ جَهْدُ النَّفْسِ فِي الْعَمَلِ, that's the self's exertion of effort. The kadih is the self's exertion of effort. وَالْكَدْ فِيهِ حَتَّى يُؤَثِّرَ فِيهَا. I'm not sure what that part means right there. وَالْمُرَادُ جَزَاءُ الْكَدِحِ, and what's intended is that he shall encounter the payment for his toiling. In خَيْرًا فَخَيْرٌ وَإِن شَرًّا فَشَرٌ. If it were good, a good toiling, a good exertion of effort, then he shall encounter the good. And if it were an evil endeavor, then he shall encounter evil. وَقِيلَ لِقَاءُ الْكَدِحِ لِقَاءُ كِتَابٍ فِيهِ ذَلِكَ الْكَدِحِ. Or it was said, or it means, according to what was said, that meeting the toiling means encountering the book in which the toiling is recorded. يَدُلُّ عَلَيْهِ, and what proves that tafsir, قَوْلُهُ is what Allah says next. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. Concerning whoever was given his book in his right hand, a kitab amali, his book of deeds. فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. Then he shall be judged with an easy judgment. سَهْلًا هَيِّنًا. وَهُوَ أَن يُجَازَى عَلَى الْحَسَنَاتِ. And the ease of that judgment that this one encounters, the one who gets his book of deeds in his right hand, is to be paid for his good deeds. وَيُتَجَاوَزَ عَنِ السَّيِّئَاتِ. And then to have his bad deeds overlooked. But these things, like getting the bad deeds overlooked, that's not something that one should count on. Rather, he hopes that that would be his case, but he shouldn't count on that, because if he counts on his bad deeds being overlooked and pardoned, then that won't stop him from doing bad deeds. One has to fear Allah to the extent that he doesn't do bad deeds. And if a person just continues to do bad deeds relying on Allah's mercy, then that's a major sin in itself. وفي الحديث, it came in a hadith, من يحاسب يعذب. Whoever is judged shall be tortured. Sheikh says that's authentic. هذا صحيح. فقيل, and so it was said to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. And this hadith is in Al-Bukhari, and the speaker asking the Prophet is Aisha. فَأَيْنَ قَوْلُهُ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. What then is the meaning of the ayah in the Quran when Allah says فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا? He shall be judged with an easy judgment. His reckoning shall be easy. Yani you just said, O Prophet, may peace be upon you, that whoever is judged shall be tortured. So what about the ayah that means that one's judgment will be easy? قَالَ ذَلِكُمُ الْعَرْضُ. He said that ayah refers to the presentation of the deeds. مَنْ نُوقِشَ فِي الْحِسَابِ عُذِّبْ. However, whoever is relentlessly questioned about everything that he did in his life, then this is the judgment being referred to in the hadith. He shall be tortured. وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. And he shall turn to his family, this one whose judgment is easy. He shall turn to his family happy. إِلَىٰ عَشِيرَتِهِ إِنْ كَانُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. He will turn to his family on Judgment Day if they were believers. أو إلى فريق المؤمنين, or he will turn to the believers. Believers are his people. أو إلى أهله في الجنة, or his family in the garden. من الحور العين, يعني his wives from the women of paradise called الحور العين. مسرورا, happy he shall be. فرحا. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. And concerning who was given his book behind his back, قِيلَ تُغَلُّ يُمْنَاهُ إِلَىٰ عُنُقِهِ. It was said that such a one would have his right hand shackled to his neck. وَتُجْعَلُ شِمَالُهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. And his left hand will be put behind his back. فَيُؤْتَى كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ مِنْ وَرَاءِ ظَهْرِهِ. And so he shall be given his book in his left hand behind his back. Very hard situation there. فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا. Then he shall cry out for his own destruction. يَقُولُ يَا ثُبُورًا. He would say, oh, the destruction, oh, the doom. وَثُبُورُ الْهَلَاكِ. A-thubur is the halak, the doom, the ruin. He shall call out to it. وَيَصْلَى سَعِيرًا. And he shall be inserted into an inferno. وَيَدْخُلُ جَهَنَّمْ. Yani he will be convicted to the pit of hell and set on fire. إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. Indeed, he was fi dunya, in the worldly life, in the company of his family, ma'ahum, masrura, happy, bil kufr, with his blasphemy, yadhaku mimman amana bil ba'th, laughing at whoever believed in resurrection. قيل كان لنفسه متابعا وفي مراتع هواه راتعا. It was said that this means he was self-absorbed and engulfed in his own entertainment. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَن لَّن يَحُورَ. Indeed, he thought that he will not return. لَن يَرْجِعَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ. That he shall not return to life for the judgment of his Lord. تَكْذِيبًا بِالْبَعْثِ. Out of his disbelieving in resurrection. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما. Ibn Abbas said, may Allah accept his and his father's deeds. ما عرفت تفسيره حتى سمعت أعرابية. He said, I didn't know how to explain this ayah. إنه ظن أن لن يحور. Until I heard a Bedouin woman. تقول لبنتها. She was saying to her daughter, حوري أيرجعي. Come back. So when he heard the Bedouin woman saying to her daughter, Huri, come back, then he knew the meaning of the ayah. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَن لَّن يَحُورَ. He thought that he shall not return. And also, Ibn Abbas has some other things like that. That he didn't know what an ayah meant until he heard someone saying something. And then he knew what the word meant. Bala, indeed he shall be. He shall return. Ijabun lima ba'da nafi. That's a confirmation, an affirmation after the negation. The negation in lan yahur, he shall not return. A bala la yahuran, meaning indeed he shall by God return. Inna rabbahu kana bihi basira. Indeed, his Lord was about him, wa bi a'malihi, and about all of his deeds, basira, la yakhfa alayhi. Yani, so basira looks like it says seeing, and some tafsirs they say basira here means alima, knowing. If you look in the dictionaries, ba, sad, ra has the meaning of ilm. So if you study the tafsir of the Quran, you'll find some spots where it says Allah is basir, they will say seeing. And in some spots it says he's basir, and they would say it means knowing. Here, An-Nasafiyy didn't specifically say one or the other, but he said something that's applicable to either way. La yakhfa alayhi. It's not hidden from him. فَلَا بُدَّ أَن يُرْجِعَهُ وَيُجَازِيَهُ عَلَيْهَا. And so it is unavoidable that Allah shall make him come back to life and then pay him for his deeds. So the very little Quran that we've been going over together in this Tafsir of Juz' Amma, we have only covered few surahs. How many times have we been reminded about Judgment Day? Would one of us hear this much news about Judgment Day and not think about Judgment Day? I remind myself and I remind you, how often do you think about Judgment Day? How serious do you take that? And how often do you think about death? Are you a shab or a shabba, young man or young woman, and you think, probably I'm not going to die today. I'm probably not going to die tomorrow either. Is that your case? Subhanallah wa bihamdi. If we remember that Judgment Day and we remember death, then and we remember also that not just remember death, but really we could die any time, any time. You go to the supermarket, you could die in the supermarket or whatever. Going to the gas station, anything you do, just step right outside your door. You could get shot and killed. Allah knows when we're going to die. It's a good thing to remember death and to remember Judgment Day. It's not a bad thing. Pushing it away, that's making yourself oblivious, setting yourself up for failure. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالشَّفَقِ. So no, I swear by the twilight. Who's the swearer? Allah. I swear, Allah is the one who swears, because the Quran is the speech of Allah. And that no, that's an additive. We talked about that before. It's an extra. It's for emphasis. It's not for negating. So no, I swear by the dawn. I swear by the twilight. فَأَقْسَمَ بِالْبَيَاضِ بَعْدَ الْحُمْرَةِ. Allah swore by the whiteness after the red twilight. أو الحمرة, or he swore by the red light itself, the red twilight. So that's Hanafi saying there. The whiteness, that's the Hanafi way of what shafaq is. And the humra, the redness, that's the Shafi'i meaning of the shafaq. When does Maghrib go out? Maghrib goes out when, according to what we learned in Shafi'i school, when the redness of the western horizon disappears. That's the shafaq. Abu Hanifa said the whiteness. So Allah swears by the twilight. وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَثَقُ. And by the night and what it gathers. Jama'a wa dam. What the night gathers. وَالْمُرَادُ مَا جَمَعَهُ مِنَ الظُّلْمِ وَالنَّجْمِ. What's meant is what the night gathers of darkness and stars, and what's not mentioned here in the book. And whatever comes back to its lair because it's nighttime, that's also what's collected by the night. أو ما عُمِلَ فيه من التهجد وغيره. Or what the night collects is what is done during the night of night prayers and other things. Allah swears by the night and what the night gathers. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا اتَّسَقَ. And by the moon when it's full. Allah swears by the moon when it's full. He swears by the full moon. إِذَا اجْتَمَعَ وَتَمَّ بَدْرًا افتعل من الوثق. I don't have to translate all of that. It's enough to say here in English, Allah swears by the moon when it is full. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. O human, you shall by God go through levels. And what's meant by human here, again, is the species, not a particular human. You shall go through levels, طبقاً عن طبق, level after level, حالاً بعد حال, situation after situation. كل واحدة مطابقة لأختها. Each one is like the other one. في الشدة والهول. في الشدة والهول. And these levels we're talking about here, they are the disaster and the horror. وَالطَّبَقُ مَا طَابَقَ غَيْرَهُ. A tabaq, which is in the ayah, طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقُ. The tabaq is what is parallel to something else, a level. يقال ما هذا بطبق لهذا بطبق ما هذا بطبق. Sometimes my tongue is heavy. ما هذا بطبق لهذا ما هذا بطبق لهذا. It is said in Arabic, this is not equal to that, but with the using the word طبق. A لا يطابقه, meaning it's not equivalent. يعني just we're talking linguistic. ومنه قيل للغطاء الطبق. From that, a cover, a seal or a cover would be called a tabaq. So you're going to go from one level to another level, O human. ويجوز أن يكون جمع طبقة وهي المرتبة. And this word tabaq, it could be the plural of tabaqah. A tabaqah is also a level, a rank. وهي المرتبة, a rank. من قولهم هو على طبقات. أي لتركبن أحوالا بعد أحوال. The meaning is still so close. It means you shall go through situations after situations. هي طبقات في الشدة بعضها أرفع من بعض. They are levels of calamity. Some of them are more extreme than others. Tabaq, T-A-B-A-Q, underline the T. What are these levels? وهي الموت وما بعده من مواطن القيامة وأهوالها. Death and what comes after death. Yani, so death, what are we talking about here? We're talking about meeting the angel of death. Right before you die, then he rips your soul out. Then you're dead. Your body's an empty husk. And the angels are doing with your soul whatever they do. While the Muslims will be preparing your body, if you're a Muslim. Or any people would be preparing their dead one, usually. And then the grave, the barzakh, the life of the grave. Then resurrection. The people come out of their graves at first, and just at very, very first, it's like didn't even get started yet. Judgment Day. They come out of their graves and they're like, oh, it's Judgment Day. People coming up out of the ground. And then all of what happens starts happening. You encounter the angels and the ground starts shaking and everything. So it's death and what comes after that, such as the stations of Judgment Day and all of its horrors. May Allah forgive us, Ameen, and help us. Don't forget to repent. I remind myself and I remind you. وَمَحَلُّ عَنْ طَبَقٍ نَصْبٌ عَلَى أَنَّهُ صِفَةٌ لِطَبَقًا أي طبقا مجاوزا لطبق. So the meaning is one level after the other level. أو حال من الضمير في لتركبن أي لتركبن طبقا مجاوزين لطبق. Or the meaning is still really the same. You shall go one level passing to the next level. وقال مكحول, and Makhul said, and he is a tabi'i, one of the followers of the companions, a big one. He was a mujtahid. في كل 20 عاما تجدون أمرا لم تكونوا عليه. He said it means every 20 years you shall find something that you were not encountering before. And don't forget that Judgment Day is so long. 20 years. 20 years on Judgment Day is a very small time. So think about that. Subhanallah. Really, we want to be, as they say, in and out. Come out of your grave and you really want to just keep it moving and get into the garden. You don't want to be held up by having to see so many bad things in your book of deeds and see mountains of sins in your pan of deeds on the scale. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. وبفتح الباء مكي وعلي وحمزة والخطاب له عليه السلام أي طبقا من طباق السماء. And this ayah was also recited لَتَرْكَبَنَّ with the fatha instead of a dhamma, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ. So if you say لَتَرْكَبَنَّ, then it's addressing one person, and that would be the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So you, O Prophet, shall go from one level to the next, according to that tafsir, أي طبقا من طباق السماء, meaning going through the heavens, بعد طبق, أي في المعراج, and that's in reference to the ascension. His ascension when he went from Mecca to Jerusalem, and then from Jerusalem up into the heavens, one heaven to the next. Then according to this recitation, that's the Prophet going through the levels of the heavens. Alayhi salatu wassalam. فَمَا لَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. So what's wrong with them not believing? فَمَا لَهُمْ فِي أَلَّا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Why are they not believing? وَإِذَا قُرِئَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقُرْآنُ لَا يَسْجُدُونَ. And when the Quran is recited on them, they do not prostrate. This is an ayah of prostration. If you recite this ayah, or someone recites this ayah, then you can prostrate if you have wudu. Even inside the prayer, you can prostrate if the imam does. If you're praying alone, you prostrate. If the imam recites it and prostrates, you prostrate. If he doesn't, you don't. If he does, you need to. You have to. But I need to review those rules there, so don't ask me about that for now. لا يخضعون. They don't humble themselves. بل الذين كفروا يكذبون. Rather, those who commit blasphemy belie. They contradict بالبعث. They deny resurrection. والقرآن. They contradict the Quran. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يُوعُونَ. And Allah, He knows what they harbor. بِمَا يَجْمَعُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ. What they collect in their own chests. وَيُضْمِرُونَ. And what they hide inside. مِنَ الْكُفْرِ وَتَكْذِيبِ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Whether blasphemy or general blasphemy or contradicting the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, أو بما يجمعون في صحفهم, or it means he knows what they have collected in their books of deeds, min a'mali su, of bad deeds. He knows the bad deeds they have accumulated in their books of deeds. وَيَدَّخِرُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ مِنْ أَنْوَاعِ الْعَذَابِ, and what they have stored away for themselves of various types of torture. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ, so give them the tidings of an excruciating torture. The tidings, so usually when you say the tidings, that means the good news, as if it's saying give them the good news of the excruciating torture. So that's not literal then. أخبرهم خبرا يظهر أثره على بشرتهم, give them the news that will give them goosebumps, the news that appears on their skin, its effect appears on their skin. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, however, those who have believed and done righteous deeds, even the small ones, small deeds, istithna'un munqati'. So istithna'un munqati', that's why illa here means however, lacking. لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ, they shall have a reward that's غَيْرُ مَقْطُوعٍ, unsevered, ongoing, أو غَيْرُ مَنْقُوصٍ, undiminished. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. That's the end of the surah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.